A penny saved is a penny earned. We thank Ben Franklin for that observation. Thank you, Ben. But how many of us really save those pennies and nickels and dimes? And what can happen if you don't? Well, Nick Roth, as a financial planner with Foster and Motley, you talk with people about the importance of a plan to create savings. But is there a standard rule of thumb for how much you should really put aside?
Hi, Patrice. Thanks for having me back. There is a standard savings rule of thumb that we generally go by. What we're looking for more often than not is that our clients are saving at least 15% of their gross income. Generally, that gets people pretty close to having a healthy retirement savings at the end of the day. But I think there's certainly people out there that are saving more than that and aggressively saving more than that intentionally. And those are the people that I think we're going to focus today's conversation about.
That's great. Now, when you say they save more, they save aggressively. What do you mean? What are you talking about here?
Yeah, it's people that have different goals or aggressive is a good word. Aggressive goals. They don't want to wait till 67, which is currently the standard retirement age defined by the government, right? They want to retire at 55 or 50 or maybe even earlier than that. Who knows? Everyone has unique goals, and as financial advisors, we're here to help them achieve those goals. But I think for the purpose of today's conversation, I'd just like to try to define two different groups of savers. We have the group that we would consider power savers. So if the rule of thumb is 15% of gross income, we would consider a power saver someone in the 25 to 50% of gross income
Ooh,
range.
ooh,
And,
that
and
is
that
pretty aggressive.
it is aggressive, Patrice, but there's another group that's even more aggressive than that, and those people we call FIRE people. Financial Independence Retire Early is an acronym that has gotten really popular recently, and those people are saving 50 to 70% or even more of their gross income annually, and they're really trying to minimize their lifestyle and save as many dollars as possible in order to be financially independent at the end of the day, which is everybody's
Saving
goal, right?
Wait a minute, saving 70% of your gross annual income. What are you living on? I mean, you're talking about being, frugal. You're talking about mac and cheese every day out of a box?
Yeah, absolutely. We're well beyond frugal at this point, Patrice, and there's parts of the country where this is simply not possible, right? If you're living on the coasts and cost of living is just so high, you have to be earning an exorbitant amount of money in order to actually save this kind of percentage of your income. But there's parts of the country where cost of living is very manageable, and this type of saving, certainly requires a different kind of lifestyle. But as Dave Ramsey preaches, if you live today like no one else, you can live tomorrow like no one else. And that's what this group of individuals is aspiring to do.
Alright, tell me how they do it. 70%, I still gotta tell me how they do it.
Yeah, so obviously the first way is minimize your lifestyle. Like you said, mac and cheese for dinner, cutting out all of those extraneous expenses. You don't need a steak dinner every night. You don't need to go out and eat lunch on your lunch break every day. Minimize your lifestyle, reduce your spending. There's things that can be cut and ways to just cut down your lifestyle that some people are really excited about being minimalists and reducing their lifestyle now so that they can live like no one else later.
Alright, you have a really minimal lifestyle. What about your kids, though? Do you think they're gonna get into that part of it?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly barriers to all of the savings that we're talking about today, Patrice. It could be kids, it could be your education. There's a clear relationship with the amount of income that you can earn and your education. So, people without a college degree may not be able to get to the earnings level that we're talking about today. That's required to be able to accomplish some of these goals. You know, Women give up their income to be caregivers. So, if you are one of those people that is a homemaker and not making as much money, that's a noble thing to do, but it's not going to allow you to fall into one of these categories where you're saving such a significant percentage of your income.
And I did mention kids. How much does a kid cost you?
It's really gotten out of hand a little bit, Patrice. But the cost of having just one child for a middle income family these days is projected to be just shy of $250,000. And that adds up over time. You think about that. on an annual basis for a kid's youth, you're talking about over $10,000 a year just in child costs. So it's really expensive. It's a good thing. A lot of people have kids for a reason. They are a wonder and a joy to many, but it does come with a cost and can be a barrier to this kind of savings.
We'll get into how people maximize their savings in a moment, but you're hitting on some very important points here. Women give up income when they become the caregiver at home. What if you have aging parents? Someone's staying home to care for them, usually.
Absolutely, Patrice. And, we just live in a society where generally that's the woman that does that. It doesn't have to be. Men do that as well. But, giving up as a country, as a society, we have people that are giving up billions of dollars a year in income in order to take care of other people, which is a noble thing to do. It just comes at the cost of your own financial prosperity.
And perhaps personal satisfaction, too, in some ways. But let's not get maudlin here. Let's go back to maximizing savings and ways to do it. You talk about minimal lifestyle. What is what's the goal? What is a good goal for people to have with their income?
You know, Patrice, I think our job as a financial advisor isn't to give people goals, it's to achieve the goals that they have, right? So, I think a goal that I generally have for myself personally is something closer to like 25% of my income goes to spending, 25% goes to taxes. And if I can save 50% of my income, then I'm doing really, really well for myself, right? But that doesn't have to be everybody's goal. And my job as a financial advisor is to take the dollars you do have available for savings and maximize those from a tax perspective, from an investment perspective, focusing on the dollars that are available that you can find in your financial situation and make the most out of those dollars. That's how we here at Foster Motley can help people.
Talk to me about compounding, the wonderful world of compounding.
The earlier the better, Patrice. I know we've said this on the podcast before, but compound interest really is what can drive a financial plan through the roof, right? If you can start early and put more dollars away early, you give those dollars a chance to work harder for you for longer. It's incredible what compound interest can do. And our good friend Albert Einstein once said, "Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world." So, he was a bright man. I'll take his advice when I can get it.
Absolutely. All right, how about passive income? We've been talking about pretty much active, your salary mostly. What about passive income?
Absolutely. I think that this has been a real trend, especially among the younger generations, of trying to figure out ways that they can make money without working and putting in a daily effort to do things. And so rental properties have become extremely popular. Uh, Gig job opportunities, as I'll call them, have become extremely popular. For example, I've myself am a avid traveler and I enjoy traveling. So I became a travel agent. And in my free time, I help people plan their trips. And that's something that I would have done anyway. But now I can get paid for it. So it's something that I enjoy doing and I enjoy spend my time doing. But it's a way to pick up a little bit of extra income. That's not truly passive in the sense of a rental property where you can just be a landlord and kind of collect a daily rent check. But most passive income, I would say, isn't risk free. And I think that there's this narrative out there that passive income is a risk free way of collecting income. And when you think of a rental property, generally there's a mortgage attached to that rental property. And that means that that's a leveraged investment. So the only thing I want to say on today's podcast is that just make sure you know what you're getting involved with. Make sure you understand the risks associated with it. To the extent that you can create passive income in your financial situation, it can be a real boon to your financial situation. But we also don't want the risk of that to be something that you couldn't bear.
Talking about savings, it's not something new, but it's taken on some new importance in the last several years. Why are we talking about it, Nick?
Employers used to take care of this for us. And that's not something that I or my generation has been accustomed to. but several of our grandparents had and still have pensions, and those just really don't exist anymore. There was kind of a crazy stat that I saw. About 60% of employers offered pension plans in the 1980s, and right now that percentage is down to 14%. So you really have to be in a specific line of work in order to have access to a pension, and generally those pensions aren't as lucrative as they used to be. So companies just have gone away with this because of the complexity involved in managing a pension, their desire to reduce their costs, and really at the end of the day, they've shifted the investment risk of that pension from the company to their employees, which is why you have a 401k that is invested, and you bear that risk.
And for a young person just getting into the workforce, there are so many things they have to think about. Talk about what the problems are that they face.
The problems that young people face are really just the unknown, Patrice, and I think people have dealt with this for decades. Every generation goes through this, but the unknown of what the future looks like. Am I going to have a family? Am I going to be single? Who do I have to support in the future? Am I even in the career I want to be in long term right now? If you're a recent college grad, maybe you're not in your forever job. There's a lot of stats out there that our generation is finding new jobs much more frequently than past generations have. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. I guess we'll find out. But just the unknown of the future has been a real issue in helping people plan. And that's really an issue for everybody. Even people approaching retirement don't necessarily know exactly what retirement looks like. So I don't want to say that this is unique to young people, but it's certainly something that we consider in our younger clients' financial plans, because it's really hard to answer the question, am I saving enough?
And I think that you're right. It's not just for the young people. That question is for people just before retirement, even in retirement. Can I still save? Am I saving enough? Have I saved enough? And I don't think you ever know that answer until it's too late, maybe.
Yeah, I think we can provide guardrails and a lot of good advice based on what we do know about our clients' financial situations. Especially after working with clients for so many years, we really know their financial situation in and out. And most of the time, financial situations don't change drastically. So we can have some semblance of confidence uh, that people aren't going to just come into our office and say, I need an extra $5,000 a month for the rest of my life. But you never know. And so it's the unknown that really makes it difficult to say, is 15% enough? Is 25% enough? Is 50% enough? I think history has showed us that 15% puts people in a really good spot, but we really don't know.
Well, as a financial professional, what do you tell your clients? Do you talk to them about maximizing, obviously, maximizing your savings, um, but risk, um, reward with your money? What do you talk to them about to get them to think about saving and the importance of it?
I think that the main thing that we have to talk to clients about is at some point in the future, you are not going to have earned income, almost guaranteed. Everybody pretty much retires at some point, and we need to save for that now. Now, how much we're saving for that can be something that changes over time. It doesn't have to be a stagnant number. You don't have to commit to maxing out your 401k every single year. If there's some other goal that becomes more important that takes precedence, then we can change the plan. And that's what financial advisors do on a daily basis is we listen to our clients and we take their feedback about what's going on in their life and try to understand what's important and give them a direction on how to achieve those goals that are most important to them. And in some years, maybe retirement savings can be that number one priority. In other years, if you're doing something fun and there's a big trip planned that we need to, account for, then maybe retirement savings gets put on the back burner. Or worse, maybe like we talked about earlier, you just can't save because you're taking care of somebody that you love, and the income isn't there. So navigating everyone's financial situation is different. And our goal is to help our clients reach their goals.
Someone who has not yet come in to see a financial advisor, what are some of the questions they should be asking themselves to get themselves started?
Getting started, Patrice, is the hardest part because that involves admitting that there's a problem or admitting that there's something that needs to be worked on. And so, what we work with people about in those first couple meetings and that people could work on their own ahead of time is, what are your goals? You don't have to have the whole future laid out, but if we could establish a couple of clear goals that you're working towards, then you can get started on that before even engaging a financial advisor. Recognizing whether or not you have the flexibility to save or not. Like we talked about, there's some people that are just in a place in life where they don't have the opportunity to save. A financial advisor can really provide the most value when we are maximizing the dollars that you've made available to us. So if there's not a lot of dollars that are available, then maybe it's not the right time to engage a financial advisor. Um, I think another popular phrase when I think about this whole um, saving dynamic is work hard, play hard. Right? There's a lot of people out there who tell themselves, "I'm working really hard. I should be able to play really hard too," and playing hard is generally expensive. So, kind of recognizing if you're in that phase of life, then maybe you're just in that phase of life, and saving isn't your number one priority at this point, but if you find yourself in a situation where there is excess income and there's things you want to be taking advantage of and aren't really sure how, then I think consulting an advisor is likely your best course of action at that point.
And if that's what someone decides to do, Nick, how can they reach you at Foster and Motley?
Our website, fosterandmotley.com, has a bunch of great information. Otherwise, feel free to give us a call, 513-561-6640.
All right, folks, save now for tomorrow. I don't think you will regret that. And the folks at Foster and Motley can help. Also, follow this podcast to know when a new episode is ready for you and share with others. I'm Patrice Sikora, and thanks for being with us.